kind of like Tour of the Philippines. It's 2.2, but it's a small field. And there's other UCI races on at the moment, which the Conti teams would be at. So it's kind of like, how hard's the racing? But it's hard to describe how hard the stages are, even if you don't get in the break and you're just in the bunch.
Pure ruthlessness, and like there's no escape. There's no easy. It's just so hot, and it's so mental. It's like you could literally just stop pedaling and just collapse.
It's unbearable the entire day, and I think that's like it would be easy for people to kind of look at it as, oh, but there was a small field, so yeah, they won stages. But it's, as someone who's done like Tour of Utah last year and Sun Tour and a few high-level races, the racing here in these conditions is just as hard as it is at any other race. So, and it's very easy to come unstuck here.
I was a shadow of a human today after having a few adventures on the toilet last night. So
one day, if you have one day where you didn't drink enough, or you weren't paying attention and you crash or anything, or you eat something that you shouldn't have eaten, then you can very easily end your race. And you can see that by just how many DNFs there were every stage. I think 50 people finished.
I will eventually get a pretty good, you see the results are awesome, but like a real good sense of achievement from actually getting through this. Because, yeah, it's hot. You went in with some preconceived ideas about like how the heat would affect us.
I didn't think it would be this hot. Because you look at the forecast says 32, 33, but it's not 33. No, everyone's head units are reading 38 to 40, and it feels like that on the ground. It's up there, closer to 40, and same humidity, so...
I don't really know what to say. Like, it's just really sort of mentally exhausting to just sort of keep yourself going in this heat.
I'd still do the acclimatization sessions that we did do. I think that was really beneficial. A lot of preparation for the team and for myself to get used to this heat. Back in Australia, it's winter at the moment, so it took a lot of work to get acclimatized to the heat. But yeah, it's awesome to be able to get a result in these conditions as well. It means a lot. It just shows our preparation as a team is really paying off. So I do that again, and then I just have a few extra days here before the race starts with some hard efforts just to get used to it. I think you can tell by the results, we were prepared. We
won 2 stages.
Yeah, so I wouldn't change that much actually.
And Jesse Coyle put on a show as they parted from the pack in the last 20 kilometers. After the long grind, Jesse Coyle charged into the top spot, bringing a second gold medal for his team. Yes!
Well, 80% of the mechanics are Malaysian, so they were like playing Malaysian radios and.
Yeah, so that was a big party.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
It's like in this hotel, it was good. Yeah, like every other place. The worst was probably in end of stage 2. That was freaking hot. That was the deepest. That was the lowest of the low of my mechanic career. I guess the best bit is when you get everything right, you know, and then it just allows the riders to just go out and ride hard, and just knowing that you supported well in the equipment side of it. Well, the cool thing about in the mechanics room was no one was trying to show off who's a better mechanic. Like everyone's like, I think Turengano was helping go for goal to tune gears and stuff. Yeah, and then it's like, oh, he doesn't have this tool, and then just pass around tools, pass around, you know.
Have you ever experienced anything like that?
No, I was just like, wow, this is really cool. Like, and then like they were like known each other from other races and that sort of stuff, and then
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Airborne. We weren't airborne. We were hitting the ground more than we were hitting. Driving pretty fast through these tiny little villages was pretty cool on fully closed roads. It was just a shame that we were doing it in a Toyota Vios that had no power whatsoever.
And a lot of things.
And a lot of things in it. So that was pretty good. No, look, highs were definitely when we would get the feed zones right, because we weren't getting them right at the start of the week.
Correct.
And
every time we did something better than the last
Yes,
time.
that's right. We'd try and improve on it and do it better.
Yeah.
We would get back in the car and hope that the riders wouldn't whinge about it.
I was sitting on 2 buckle holders for 5
That is
stages.
With Jesse on stage 5, he wanted some caffeine. We didn't have any needed some caffeine as opposed to just wanting.
Yeah.
And he needed it, and he told us to go and find some. We didn't have any more, so we were literally stopping at these little mud huts through these tiny villages with like 500 peso trying to buy.
Take my money!
Take
my money!
Take my money, get it, exactly. But the reality is that we found out that majority of these tiny mud huts actually sell lollies or some dried goods, and all the bottles
Actual provisions that people might
That's
need.
right, and the signs and the bottles out front were really them just collecting the bottles. So there was nothing there to buy. But we did end up getting Cobra, the Cobra energy drink.
What was the Cobra like, Jesse?
Really strong tasting, sickly.
Yeah, so 5 stages, 850 odd Ks, hot. What did we do to recover?
There's obviously the usual things, your fluid, your carbohydrates, blah, blah, blah. But I tried 2 different things this race that I haven't done before, which I thought I might mention. So we used, actually everyone on the stage used, the night before each stage, the prepped hydration prime drink, which they say assists in the fluid absorption in the gut through a type of resistant starch they use. So we were doing those drinks the night before each stage. The other thing I also did was at breakfast and also immediately after each stage, I used Precision Hydration, their strongest electrolyte mix, the 1500 I think it's called. So really strong electrolytes. I felt like I recovered really well between each stage. And the thing I also noticed, which might be a bit TMI, but I'll say it anyway, is that after each stage I was drinking heaps, like constantly drinking, and I wasn't peeing that much. So I'd pee straight after the stage and maybe before bed, but I was drinking heaps of fluid. So something, whether it's the electrolytes or the prepped stuff, was helping me hold on to fluid.
Still pretty damn hot outside. The boys are going through the bottles like they're going out of fashion. We're generally getting through about 2, I think, per rider per hour. Each bottle's about 750 ml, so a little bit bigger than what the normal size would be for what some of the World Tour teams would use. So it's quite a lot of liquid. It's about 1.5 liters an hour.
I should mention I ran Athlete's Gel post shower after had to get any muscular issues away. I don't know if you ran any. I know Jay ran some, didn't you? Yeah. You ran some. I don't think I've ever felt as good. My legs have felt this good deep into a tour ever. It's a bit like what we were saying before, in the sense you can't get too precious about it either, because you don't know a lot of the time where you're going that evening, what's going to be accessible to you, whether the water's going to be, or the water isn't drinkable. So you really are relying on just what you brought and going with the flow.
So Chris spoke about a fair bit in the first video, or I spoke about how getting here was difficult for everybody. There's a lot of preparations, a lot of everything that went into it. The big thing for anybody that actually wants to come and do this type of stuff, anybody that thinks that they want to get involved with this sort of thing, the key is you've got to be a problem solver. Nothing goes to plan at all. Whether it be from the weird things and chasing laundry at 11:30 at night to things on the road, you've genuinely got to be a problem solver, and you've got to think laterally about things. You have to get it done, otherwise it just doesn't happen for the team.
Philippines, unfortunately, is not a great place for a vegan, and not a great place for a vegetarian. That's a vlog to come. You got anything to add, Jay?
Just like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Look here. And there. Alrighty.
pulled up and he had been a bit late. So we were desperate to get into the car and to get the rest of our stuff. And so I pulled out a few things, and I pulled out a bag, and the bag was moving. I was like, oh, what's in here? And everyone was like freaking out because they were like, no, lady, no. It's my chicken. It's a live chicken in the bag of the car.
We've had everything from missing toilet seats to rooms with no beds in them, chickens in cars. We've had drivers that just don't show up or that you can't contact. And then equally, wheels just go missing. Suddenly there's 6 wheels just not there and hotel has just cleaned them up somewhere.
Like Robinson man singing a song, just gotta keep on keeping on.
Expectation tomorrow, any? Do you have any expectation?
It's going to be hard. It's hot and it's humid, but yeah, we'll keep attacking and we'll keep being aggressive and doing our best to get another result on the final stage here.